How to avoid getting advice and advise mixed up. Many people confuse advice and advise because they're similar in spelling and pronunciation, and they both refer to giving guidance or recommendations. However, there is a subtle difference in their usage. Advice. Advice is a noun that refers to recommendations or suggestions given to someone about what they should do. For example, can you give me some advice on how to improve my English skills? Advise is a verb that means to give someone advice or recommendations. For example, I advise you to practice speaking English every day. A really useful tip for remembering the difference between advice and advise is to remember that alphabetically, N for noun comes before V for verb, and the C in advice, which is a noun, comes before the S in advise, the verb. This can help you remember that advice is a noun and advise is a verb. Another tip for remembering the difference is to focus on the meanings of the words. Advice refers to recommendations or suggestions that are given, while advise refers to the act of giving those recommendations or suggestions. It can also be helpful to practice using these words in different contexts and pay attention to their usage in sentences. The more you encounter and use these words, the easier it will become to remember the difference between them. Here's a few example sentences to illustrate the difference between advice and advise. I asked my friend for advice on what to wear to the party. My mum always advises me to eat my vegetables. I'm looking for advice on how to choose the best British accent course. I always appreciate my colleagues' advice on how to improve my presentation skills. I advise you to review the material before the exam. My boss advises me to be punctual and arrive to work on time. I asked my mentor for advice on how to advance in my career.